Good morning, everybody. This is Zach Said It Again. I'm your host, Zach Cooley, and I'm so happy to have one of my dearest friends in the whole wide world with me for this week. Finally got to connect with my dear friend, Anita Libby, who is the former, now retired General Branch Manager of the Wythe County Public Library, and in my opinion, as I said in the article, one of the greatest unsung heroes of Wythe County. Anita, I'm so happy you're here.
Happy to be with you, Jack.
Oh, you are so very special to me. I think everybody that knows me and knows you knows how special you are to me.
Oh.
But I can't reiterate that enough because I remember the first time I ever met you. I remember it very plainly. It was in 2010. Emily and I had not been married long. And I came in and I said, I want to start a Lucy fan club, a Lucille Ball fan club, and I've got the backing from her licensing company to do it. And you said, do you mean to tell me you got something fun for adults to do in mind? And I just thought, this lady is exactly what this library needs, this community needs. Because, if you were in Wythe County, if you're over 18, there's nothing. They don't plan for people over 18 to enjoy themselves. So when you came, before you came, that library, if you spoke above a whisper, there was somebody there to shush you, or like on the spot. And one of the most important things you said was that you wanted to transform that library into a center for all people. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah. When I was interviewed for the job, they told me that the fact that I didn't have the library certificate, my master's degree in library science, that what they were interested in was more my love of books and the fact that I've been in bookstores for 30 years. And they wanted the library to be transformed into a community center with things to do for all ages. And I just jumped on that in a heartbeat. That was exactly what I was looking for.
Now, prior, you had been the manager of Christiansburg Barnes & Noble. Is that right?
Correct.
And
I was at Barnes & Noble for 6 years. Actually, I worked 32 years in the book business, and 26 years I was with Walden Books and Borders Books and Music.
Fantastic. All stores I love to visit during my lifetime. But how did you even come to interview for the position?
Well, it's a sad, but it's a sweet story.
Mm-hmm.
My mother had passed away on Friday, and we had already built our house up here, but we had been taking care of her in Richmond for about the previous 3 years,
mm-hmm.
and going back and forth. So we came up, and I was getting all of our stuff out of the car. My husband sat down and read the Wytheville Enterprise, and he said, there's a shop right here for you. So I looked at it, and I said, oh, no, they want somebody with a master's degree. He goes, well, what have you got to lose? Put your name in and see what happens. So that's how the whole thing started.
And just to clarify, you have a home in Fort Chiswell.
Yes.
And you've been here since that day that I met you in 2010.
We actually moved here in 2006.
Oh, okay.
But as I said, in 2007 we were going back and forth taking care of my mom from 2007 through 2010.
And you are originally from the Virginia coast, is that right?
Yep, I'm a verified Northern Necker.
All right. So I guess I should back up and say that is when your love of books began. You want to talk about how that started and your love for libraries?
Well, I've got a couple stories about that. My mom would let us go grocery shopping with her, and if we behaved, we got to get a golden book. And that started my ownership of books. Mm-hmm. And then when we moved to the big city of Richmond, and I was so lost, leaving a little town of 500 people and moving to Richmond, my parents would walk me to and from the branch library, and after a few months to a year, they let me go by myself because it was only about 4 blocks. And I moved into the library every day after school. I made that trip over to the library, and I stayed until they told me it was time to go home for supper. So, I mean, libraries have been in my blood since day one.
That was your playground.
It was. It was. I knew all the characters. I knew all the books, and I think I was about 11 when the children's librarian there said, I'm going to have to turn you over to the adult librarian to get you some suitable materials to read because you've read everything in the library.
And that is the stereotypical, that is the rainbow story that every library wants. To introduce children into the world of reading, and that your imagination can take you any place. That you truly have lived that, it sounds like. I
have. The only time I think I had to live without a good library was when I was living overseas for 8 years. Back in the 70s, the armed forces did not have public libraries on base, but we still developed, the wives developed a little lending library for the children and also for the adults. Whatever we bought, we then donated to the lending. We had a room on base where we donated the books, and then anybody could come in and pick them up for free. So we still continue to try to get reading out there to everybody.
And you have those little libraries now in Wytheville. You see them at different places, at my daughter's school and just different places in town.
Yep. We do.
Read one, take one. So when you came to Wytheville Library, let's fast forward now to when you came to Wytheville Library and you saw everything. As you said at your retirement party, it made you sad, but you saw a great deal of potential. Is that a fair way to put it?
That's a great way to put it. We had a good space. We just were really overcrowded with tons and tons of furniture.
Uh-huh.
So what we did was we pared down the furniture as much as possible and made room for people to actually be able to sit down and do things, to put a puzzle together, to sit down and talk about books with a friend. Of course, later on, as we started adding things, we had a club for knitters. It started out as knitters. Then the crocheters came in, and then somebody came in and said, well, I cross-stitch. So they renamed themselves about 4 years ago to the Twisted Stitchers, and they're a great group. They're there every Friday afternoon from 3 to 6. So.
And the library became, once you took over the reins, the library became a place that my family and I thought to go when we wanted to have a good time. I have throughout my daughter's preschool years, she has so many great memories growing up. I remember making that craft, and I remember making that craft or singing that song with Miss Sarah. That's Sarah Dye, our mutual friend, and the children's coordinator who retired when you retired.
Yes.
But she remembers those many great story times, and do you remember when the Easter Bunny came and all that?
Oh gosh.
And all that. But she remembers all those things, and and I have great memories of coming and doing book signings, and I think I sold out for the very first time at the library.
I know.
And just things like that. Emily singing at the library, and when everybody thought, oh, how nice she's going to sing, and she sat down, and when she opened her mouth, people started coming out of the rooms, and everybody just stood around and watched her, and that just so. And the trivia nights, we look forward to that every month. It was the highlight of our month. I
will say that was probably a good thing we did after hours, because we were really loud and rambunctious, but everybody had a good time.
Yeah, everybody had a ball, and everybody brought something, and that friendships were made. I mean, we still came to. We always. Janie and Till have become very dear friends of ours from trivia night. You have Paul Dellinger, who you got to understand. I mean, you know how amazing Paul is.
Yes.
But you got to when Paul was in the Roanoke Times, when you had Paul Dellinger come and write a story about something that was going on in your town, you knew it was big news. And
oh, wow.
and for me as a writer, when he had read something I had written, and they suggested that I email him and ask him a question or something. When he emailed me back and praised me for that article, it was like, I don't know, Norman Mailer or somebody. It was, it was, he was, the kind of work that he did is exactly what I wanted to emulate, and to have him praise that, and to have him be such a gentle, humble man that he is, and to become the great friend and advisor that he's become, and he's another one of those that has done so much for this community.
So much for the library, too.
Yeah, that people...
Constantly keeping all of our stuff in the newspaper, letting people know what we're doing, what new books have come out. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, and he does things, as you do, that people don't even know about. And, it's not necessary for everybody to know about everything that you've done. And that's why you deserve the praise that you've gotten, in my opinion. But
it was a labor of love, I can tell you.
So what would you say are some of your happiest memories there?
Oh gosh, when the staff would get dressed up together for Halloween, and the kids would. We'd be scary with them, and then we'd be sweet with them, and the kids would be squealing through looking for treats. It just, anytime the kids were involved, anytime we had 6 or more people at an adult thing. The last thing we did before COVID was probably my most favorite. We had bought the Downton Abbey movie, which came out after the seasons of Downton Abbey.
Right.
And we held on to it for 2 weeks before letting anybody check it out, so that we could have a debut in the library. And we had 50 people show up.
Oh,
it was phenomenal to have that many people show up to do something. And it was something that cost very little. We had snacks and pops at the Friends of the Library. Oh my gosh, the Friends of the Library supported us so much. Anytime we ever wanted to do something, they were right there to help us out financially, and with people to help us during the occasion. So it's been a labor of love. It really has.
And encouraging, not squelching the ideas, but encouraging them. building on them. They could manifest, and they said, well, we want to do this, and that they would add to it, and well, how about you do this, and everybody would come in, and it would truly be a community center for all ages, and that is what you brought to the library. What if we haven't already covered it, what are you proudest of that you accomplished during your tenure?
Oh, goodness. I guess getting the adults involved, because that was the hardest thing to do. They had not had programming for so long, or I don't know if they ever had, because I came new on the surface.
I have been coming to that library most of my life, and I do not remember any type of adult. I have never been involved with the library to the point that I have been and was when you got there. Well,
it's one of the things I didn't get to do as much in the bookstore industry because it was mostly either authors or it was children's programming. So we could do wonderful things for children or have an author. So when I got to the library, it was just like an open slate, and I could create and invite, and it was wonderful, the outpouring from everybody that came. The plays also were great. We had some children's plays that were performed by local children and adults. And then we had a couple of adult plays that Frances Moore and Tina Edwards produced and won. And, Steel Magnolias, you can't turn that down. We had 2 shows, and we were pretty much sold out both shows.
Yeah, I even wrote a radio play and did a radio play there.
You did.
At one point. Yeah, that was great fun.
You and Paul both wrote several, 2 or 3 of the plays.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just can't do enough of that. But it costs very little, and people come out and they leave with a smile, and that's all I wanted was people to come in and enjoy the space that we had, enjoy what programming we put on, and be able to leave with a happy smile. And I guess that's what I'm most proud about. And I had a lot of help. It's not just me. I had a wonderful staff that helped me out throughout the whole time. And, of course, with children's programming, Sarah Dye, you couldn't ask for better. It was phenomenal. And the parents loved her. The kids loved her. She's going to be sorely missed.
Yeah, and then she had such a natural nurturing aura about her. She was very, very quiet, very reserved, at least as long as I knew her. But she, when there was a child in the room, this nurturing spirit just emanated from her.
And it could be crazy back there. I mean, 20 kids running around, the parents, some paying attention, some not.
Right.
And Sarah could zero in on that one child she needed to talk with or needed to share something with. And it was, like you said, it was amazing how she nurtured the children and the parents. She cared just as much about the parents as she did the children.
And there were the great volunteers too that came through there. That are Kay Vollimer,
Yes.
Just a fantastic lady. I always enjoyed talking to her. And
Kay and Glenna Taylor.
Yeah.
She helped out with the programming for at least, I think she was here a couple of years as well. Kay was with us for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember her for sure. And Jennifer's taking your place. As the manager. I graduated with her.
Did you really?
I sure did. That's when you told me the other day that she had a child that was in high school. I almost swallowed my tongue, but yes. Yes, that I graduated with her and you know, Carla Rojas. There is nobody in the world like Carla. You know.
Oh yeah.
She is.
She is the front desk guru.
Yeah.
She greets every single person. She asks questions. She tries to find out what she can do to help them, and people just flock to her.
People love her.
Yeah.
I mean, she can tell you a story that just has you just encapsulated. So she.
Well, if I can go back to one thing about Jennifer,
you
who
bet.
got my position. Jennifer, I couldn't have asked for a better person to take my place. She is going to do great things. I hope she'll even do more than I did, and I think she will.
So she's going to keep that machine going.
I think so. She's wanting to get programming and adult stuff up and going. So look in the newspaper for good things to start happening at the library.
You bet. Well, I don't even have time to get started on what you have done for me personally, what your friendship has meant to me personally, but to know you and to have the relationship with you that I have come to have is one of the most treasured of my life, and the things that you have done for me and the love that you have poured out has meant so much in the most difficult hours as well as the best, and I'm so glad you were there for all of them, and I'm so grateful to you.
Well, I'll tell you, right back at you. Because you were a calming spirit when I came in and opened your arms wide, and I don't think I've gotten out of those arms yet.
Nope, and
that friendship is just as good.
And Lord willing, you never will, because like my caregiver that was with me for a long time, she said that you can never get in a hug with you because you won't turn loose, and that's me. I don't ever plan to turn loose of you.
Oh, so, I think I had the most tears with saying goodbye to you that day my last day at the library.
Well, that's why I was there, because
I know
because I knew that that I needed to be there that day, if any day, and then,
you did.
So it was
most beloved of you.
It was a good day. It was a good day. So thank you very much for being with me. I love you very much, as you know, and
I love you too, Zach.
I look forward to many more great memories now that you're retired.
We will.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Zach.
All right.